All right, today we're going to talk about concept quiz that has 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21 on it. Let's start out with concept 17. So in this one, we're asked to work backwards. So I'm telling you, I gave you the shape, and it's got 7,740 degrees, 7,740 degrees. Well, we know that the total interior angles equals n minus 2 times 180. Well, in this case, we don't know the number of sides. And so what we're going to do is we're going to say, I know the total number of degrees, but I don't know the number of sides. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to set this formula equal to my total number of interior degrees. Instead of knowing the sides and plugging them in to find the number, I know the number and I'm going to plug it in to do the sides. And so then I'm just going to solve this like a normal equation. I'm going to start out by dividing by 180. And as I do that, I get 43. So 43 equals n minus 2. Well, that means this is the number of triangles. So I got to add 2 to get the number of sides. So I should have 45 sides to that shape. Okay, and so what's the measure of one interior angle? Well, if I have 45 sides, that means 45 angles. So I'm going to take the total number of degrees, 7740, and divide by 45. To get 172 degrees. Well, on this next part, the measure of the exterior angles, well, if I've got this interior angle, this is kind of a zoomed in view, I know that the exterior angle, x, together they add up to 180. So I'm going to subtract 172 minus 172. So I know my exterior angle equals 8 degrees. Okay, so that's how you solve something like that. Down here, to figure out the number of total interior degrees, you could either use the formula or you could start at one angle and draw your triangles. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 triangles, so 5 times 180, and that's going to give me 900 degrees. So all of my angles, so this on your quiz says 12, so I got 12 plus x plus 11 plus 128 plus 161 plus x plus 102 plus 165. All those together equal my 900. So you can solve that equation. So simplify it, solve it. That's going to give you your variable, and it just asks you to find x, so that's what you're going to do. Same thing here. I know that if I divide it in half to the corners, I can do a little bit better than that. Start at one of the angles. I've got 1, 2 triangles, so my total is 360 degrees. 360 equals 95 plus 120 plus 85 plus question mark. Okay, and solve that for your question mark. Okay, so those are all based on polygon angles. Concept 18, parallelograms. It's asking me to draw a parallelogram, and most of the time we just settle for something like this. But it wants me to label the two properties of the sides. Well, one of the properties is opposite sides are congruent. The other property is that opposite sides are parallel. That's why it's called a parallelogram, because these sides are parallel. Opposite angles, well, the opposite angles, this one has to be congruent to this one. And this one has to be congruent to this one. Okay? So, that's important. It's very important. If I even label these A, B, C, D, I know that the measure of angle B plus the measure of angle A equals 180, and so forth. So going around, angles that are next to each other, consecutive angles, are 180. In addition, it's asking me to find or to label the diagonals with their properties. So I'm going to draw in my diagonals. Okay, and they're not the same size. However, they are divided in half. And to be clear, I'm going to mark them like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, to differentiate them from the sides. Okay, so the diagonals are bisected. So that's kind of what you need to have, and you're going to use those properties to solve problems. Kind of like this next one. Well, I know that opposite angles are congruent, so I could say 5y equals 7x minus 5. That does not necessarily help me because I have two variables, but I can remember consecutive angles equal 180. So what I can set up is I can say 5y plus 45 plus 70 equals 180. Okay, and doing that is going to allow me to solve for y. Well, when I solve for y, I'm going to put a dot, dot, dot. So that gives me y equals, and I'm going to plug that in here, and then I could solve for x. Okay, so that's how you're going to solve for your two variables in that one. I set it up using the properties of parallelograms. In this one, is it a parallelogram? Well, from the part up above, I know that diagonals should be bisected. Okay, so this should be true. But what I need to see is it actually true? So what I'm going to do is this. If x is 3, then 2x plus 5 is going to be equal to 6 plus 5 is 11. So this part is 11. And then 5x minus 7 is equal to 10 minus 7 equals 3. Ooh, sorry, x is 3. 5x minus 7 is equal to 15 minus 7, which is 8. So this is 8. Well, ask yourself, are these congruent? No, they're not. So it should be no diagonals don't bisect. Okay? Moving down this way, special parallelograms. A rhombus. What's a rhombus? We seem to struggle a little bit with this concept. Rhombus has 4 sides. And I want to talk about the sides and the diagonals. Well, all 4 sides are congruent. That's what makes a rhombus. So yes, a square is a rhombus, but it's only one type of rhombus. A rhombus could be a diamond shape, some would say. And so it's going to be 4 sides the same. And because it's a parallelogram, its diagonals are bisected as well. In addition, it does have a 90-degree angle there. Okay, so that's important. Rectangle. We've known what a rectangle looks like for a long time. Rectangle is literally rect, meaning right, angle, 4 right angles. The sides must be the same as in a parallelogram, so they're going to be parallel and opposite sides are going to be congruent. And my diagonals. This is the defining feature of the rectangle besides the right angles. All the diagonals are the same. So they bisect one another, but they're also congruent. Okay, and so that's what I needed to have to get full credit on those two. All right? Mid-segment of a trapezoid. We know that the bases added together divided by 2 is equal to the mid-segment. Set it up right like that. Same thing here. 12.6 plus x over 2 equals 8.8. Okay? So those are that's what we're working with here. This one on your quiz, I threw it out because I actually didn't say it right. I should have just said find the values of the variables. Well, this is a trapezoid, so what should happen is these are parallel, and so y plus 70 should equal 180, and x plus 117 should equal 180. Okay, but I threw that out. So I just gave you full credit for it because I misspoke. I wrote that wrong. Okay, this one down here, mid-segment. Set it up like a mid-segment problem. Okay, so you're going to have to do a little bit of algebra there. Probably start by multiplying by 2 and then combining your like terms to solve for x. 21, that was on your own. You had to talk about your kite. Everybody got full credit on that one because you guys did a great job describing it. In a nutshell, that's our quiz. If you have any questions, please come see me, and hopefully this was helpful. We'll see you next time.